Hey, can you talk? Oh my God, I can't right now. What's up? The craziest thing just happened. I don't know what to do. I know what you should do. Call into Southern Gossip. Talk about it with Stu. Well, good evening. Uh-oh, what is this? You can... Oh, God. Okay. It was some sort of like error message from Riverside, which is the software I use. And I was like, oh no, not now, not at the beginning. Actually, yes, I am glad it happens at the beginning because if you recall, I have had episodes where just cut off my mic halfway through and there was definitely an error message and I didn't see it. So, but it's all good. It's all good. I can't let this ruin my vibe because I am in such a calm mood right now. It is a Sunday night that I am recording this episode on. I decided to be naughty and pour myself a little thimble of red wine because this has been a big old week. A big old week. And I think that I have a lot that I want to talk to you about, especially for the topic of session 1 that I want to get into that sort of correlates to that. But let me just say before I do, welcome back to Southern Gossip. I almost just said Creep Time. Welcome back to Creep Time. Welcome back to Southern Gossip. I am your host, Stu. And every single week, my intention with this podcast is really to provide a space to my listeners who also can call in. So if you're new here, this is an advice-based podcast. You can call in to the hotline at 413-351-4677 GOSS. But the title of the podcast is Southern Gossip, of course. And really my goal with this podcast is to reclaim the meaning of gossip, making gossip good again. And in its original form, it was supposed to... It's a word that means to converse with someone that you feel so emotionally close with. And there's so much trust there that you can really tell them anything. And so that's what I want to be for my listeners, my sippers, if you will. And I'm sipping on, again, very naughty, a little tiny bit of Pinot Noir. Because it's Sunday. I'm relaxed, which for me is a state that is hard to find most days. I really have tried so hard, and I am going to get into session 1 kind of right now as I launch into talking about relaxing. And what I will tease is that by the time this episode comes out, something really awesome may have happened. And I don't want to give too much away, but this whole weekend, I've sort of been thinking and prepping and thinking about all the ways it could go wrong. And I know I'm being very, very cryptic about what this is, but trust me, I'm sure many listeners of this podcast will figure it out before this episode comes out, or at least I hope. But I realized that this week and weekend, as I was prepping, that I have gotten such a hold over my regulating my anxiety and my stress. And I was really proud of myself over the weekend. I was just like, wow, you've come a really long way with how you deal with something kind of last minute, something being sprung on you. I am such a prepper. Like everything to me has to be, I have to go through it like 85 times before I feel confident. And I think it's a little neurotic, but it's just the way I am programmed. I think I'm like, it's sometimes it's way too much, but I want to be like so thorough about things. And I've really had to learn to A, fake it till I make it, and B, kind of build. I know that these are very cliche, corny expressions, but they're the easiest way I can describe it is like building the plane while you're flying it. I used to be so bad about that. And I learned really how to do that more through my corporate job that making that transition all that time ago. I am really thankful that I learned how to do that. And I think that a lot of it had to do with, and again, I've had a wonderful mentor that I think has taken the time to really figure me out and work with me on those things. But I'll never forget that there was a time where, we're working on this big project and he and I are going back and forth and we're IMing about stuff. And I said something about like how crappy the work I had done was, or it's not good enough, or just something really, really negative. And he was like, you need to cut the negative self-talk. And we at that point like didn't know each other super duper well yet. And so for him to say that was kind of like and I remember being like, oh no. Like I'm not talking badly about myself. It's just the work. And he really kind of course corrected me and was like, well, I know how much you care about work. So this has to be a reflection of you a little bit, right? Or else you wouldn't have said it. And it made me start to treat myself so much better, not just at that job, because now I felt like he was sort of watching me like a hawk and he was like, no more of that. It's distracting you from doing better work, or it's preventing you basically. And I think from that moment on, I just kept telling myself how much negative self-talk doesn't help me like at all. I think that's what anxiety is, right? It's telling yourself that you can't do something. It's the fear of trying to do something and all the what ifs where it could go wrong. And ironically, I know I said on the last episode, I don't want to be preachy and I don't want to sound like I've, think I'm the next Mel Robbins or something like that. But she did say one time, what if it does go well? What if? And I think about that all the time because there are so many instances now, especially being a podcaster, all the, covering of cases, going on tour. When I first started doing creep time, and I know creepers notice this, I don't think we had ever really discussed like, okay, at some point, Stu, you will now start leaving cases. It just kind of started to happen. And I felt like, oh my God, I'm not capable of doing this. Why I shouldn't be doing this. Why am I doing this? Everybody hates me. Like all those thoughts started running through my mind. And at some point, I had to just tell myself, and I will say this kind of sounds like negative self-talk, but I don't think it is. But I was like, shut up. Like, it's so annoying. It's, you know what it is? It's like self-talk and anxiety is so annoying. It's so stupid because it doesn't move the ball forward at all. And when I was growing up, my dad used to always say this, and I used to be like, that is just like the most unhelpful piece of advice. He used to say, there's no use fretting. And, there's no use worrying. There's no use fretting. And I was like, I know there's no use in it, but I can't help it. I can't help it. And now that I'm older, I feel like I'm like, yeah, there actually is there's nothing beneficial that comes out of me running through every possible worst case scenario because it hasn't happened yet. Sorry. Somebody's honking their horn. I'm like, it's like 9:00. What's happening? But now I feel like I'm finally starting to understand that a little bit more. And I'm getting over the hump of self-doubt and worrying and anxiety and negative self-talk like so much faster. So, and I guess my advice on how to do that is, or how I feel like I've been able to figure out how to do that faster is challenging myself more and more and more and more and more, which I think has been really, really, excuse my F-bomb, hard. It has been for me super hard to continuously challenge myself. And it's funny because I consider myself someone that loves a challenge. Like I love any sort of game. I think of myself as being pretty athletic. Sometimes when I go run, I'll like try to push myself and challenge myself to see if I can do X, Y, and Z route. But I think over time, that has allowed me to, it's like every single time you do something really, really scary, at the age old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think that now at 33, I'm finally realizing how to do that and how to get over fear faster. And I guess I wanted to gossip about that because, if this thing happens, when it happens, it's going to be something that I feel like I've been working at for a really long time. And in the past, I would have been freaking the out. Like in this very moment, like 2 days out from this thing. And I just wanted to share that if you are someone that deals with like massive anxiety and massive negative self-talk and fear and self-loathing or any combination of all that, I promise you there will come a day where it gets a lot easier. And I think that it's in part challenging yourself, but I also think it's purely time and age and life experience. And I know I still have so much to learn. Like, I know I'm saying this and there are going to be so many more headwinds and challenges in my life, but I am now finally at this age starting to understand what a disaster it is for me to overthink and make things worse in my head. It literally doesn't help anybody, and especially not me. Like, especially not me. So I wanted to share that because I'm obviously in this relaxed mood, but it will be fine. Sometimes you just need to have somebody say to you, it's all going to be okay, which is also a really hard thing to believe. And actually, I know I mentioned last time on the pod that I was like, I know that everything happens for a reason. And then there are some things I'm like, no, that's bullshit. Why did that have to happen? I also kind of feel that way about that phrase. It's all going to be okay. But it is. Because even if it's bad, it's over with. It's done. After you do the thing, there's nothing you can change. As long as you prepare and you do your best and you show up with good intent and a good heart and a good work ethic, it's all going to be okay. And so I also have to just remind myself I am enough. And I think all of these things sort of correlate together. And also a big part of it for me is faith, and not spiritual faith, although I would consider myself a spiritual person. I don't think I necessarily, I do believe in some sort of a God, but it's not the kind of God that I think I was raised to believe in, if that makes sense. I believe that there is probably a higher power out there, but there are times that I'm still very skeptical. But I want to believe. I want to have faith in that. But the faith I'm talking about is more just faith in myself and faith in the universe and the experience that I'm bringing to the table, that, on the certain project, the other people in the room will be bringing to the table. And just knowing that that's enough and that's okay. And faith is a really tricky thing too, because I sometimes feel like faith is experienced by osmosis as well, by people you're around. And if you're showing that you have faith in something, then other people will too. Faith is almost like power in numbers. The more people that you can get to believe, the more of a chance the thing has of doing well. Like sometimes I think about faith in a corporate setting, especially. I know that's really weird to think about, but that's a place where it's really hard to just believe in something without having the evidence to back up that it's going to work, and having a bunch of other people back you up, because you need buy-in all the time with projects, and having to get people to trust you on that. They have to believe, they have to have a little bit of faith. And I feel like that's also been a place where I've been able to experiment with faith, is running certain projects and just convincing people to believe. And when I have done that, it's usually successful, because I think that's human nature. People want to see things go well. And sometimes you have to just say that out loud, not only to yourself, but to other people. Like, I just need you to believe. I need you to have some blind faith here. And I've always wanted to like read more about that, like study if there's ever been research done on like how well getting people to have blind faith in corporate settings or in whatever settings works. Because obviously in a religious setting, you have faith because none of us have ever met God before. None of us have ever seen him, in person. We're just going off of blind faith. But it's cool when you see faith work in real time, where you create something or you think you're going to create something, you tell people about it, you tell them to have faith, and then it goes well and they see the proof and they're like, whoa, that actually worked. So faith as a concept is also really cool. I'm like, did I smoke a joint? Why am I so... I'm like, am I saying everything and nothing at the same time? This is only going to help. But I also think, and I will warn the sippers, my guest for today, I really wanted to ask a specific question to. Sorry, I keep moving around. I'm like, I keep wearing stuff, by the way, on the pod that I'm like, is this giving me a gut? Like, why am I showing up looking? I keep choosing outfits that don't look great when you're crumpled over. So I'm trying to, but I was in this sort of like beachy vibe today and just feeling, I don't know, this dress kind of makes me feel sexy. So maybe I'll cut that. But I feel relaxed, and wearing these kinds of dresses always make me feel like I'm home, which I am about to go home. I'm so excited. And that's why I'm also pre-recording this episode. But I'm excited because the person that I'm going to call for session 3 is also from the beach there, from my hometown as well. And talk about having to have some blind faith. This person is, first of all, an incredible actress. She has starred in movies like Bone Lake. She was in Malignant, We Summon the Darkness. She was in a bunch of hit TV series. She was in Impulse, Twisted on ABC Family, if you remember that show. But I remember when she got cast in a show called The Finder, which was a spinoff of Bones. And she was cast in that, I believe, and I'll make sure this is right when I talk to her, but I think she was in process of getting cast for that while we were in high school together. And when I say talk about blind faith, I mean, she quite literally had to make the jump to drop out of high school and move to Los Angeles to chase the acting dream. I mean, she sort of got the like discovery moment dream that I think so many people dream about. But I've thought about this in the context of going from our small town to LA and making the jump to just quit school and go do that. And I know a lot of people have had that same story, but I think from the town we were from, that was a huge move. And I remember pretty clearly like when it was all going down, but I wanted to relive it with her a little bit and just get her advice and story really on how to have blind faith like that. Like, how did she know that was going to work? And I've been saying, I've just now, I feel like, learned how to kind of hone that skill of having faith, not letting my anxiety and my negative self-talk overpower me. I can't imagine. She was 14 when she had to go make that move. I cannot imagine having to hone that skill at 14, because there's no way she got out there. And she is a very confident person and amazing personality. But I would think any 14 or 15-year-old would go, do I deserve to be here? Who are these people? What's going on? Like, and just showing up and doing the best work you can must have been a huge undertaking. So I definitely want to, and I probably, fair warning, will be recording with her and splicing these together at a certain point because I know she was doing some auditions and stuff today. But I definitely want her to be the one to discuss that with me and with the zippers. So her name is Maddie Hasson. You probably recognize her. Well, she won't be on video, but maybe you'll recognize her voice. But she is an incredible person, a great friend, also funny as hell. Let me tell you, by the way, and I'm going to roast her for this when I call her. She left me the funniest voicemail when I was starting this podcast. And maybe I'll cut this out, but she said something about somebody getting an adult circumcision. And after that, I was like, you need to come on and we gotta go back and unpack whatever the hell that is. So I can't wait to have her on. But stick around for that. That'll be the final session of this episode. But now I guess we can go into the hotline. And I have no idea it's funny because sometimes like every episode, the calls kind of correlate with the vibe of what I've been talking about in session 1. So I have no idea if any of these will, but make sure, guys, that you hold on. I almost did it. The fashion segment. I won't forget. Make sure to keep calling in, keep getting your friends to call in, share this show. I mean, seriously, if you know people that just need an outlet to like call and vent, give them the number of this podcast, 413-351-4677. GOSS, because I do need calls to keep coming in. So, and they're coming in, but if they could come in even more, that would be amazing. Okay. This will be very brief because obviously I was not decked out to the nines last night because I was last time because I was about to go work out. But I will say this is a little tennis skirt from Aloe, which if you listen to Ride, I know I always mention this on Creep Time, what a big Ride the podcast fan I am, but they say that Aloe is workout clothes for sluts. So if you've never heard that before, and I will say this is short, so it works for me because I'm 5'2", but word to the wise, if you do go to purchase this, it is very, very, very short. And then I've got underneath here was like an Athleta sports bra. And I don't know if they make it anymore. Oh my God, girl, why? Why did I button this? Hold on. Okay, she's exposed. But this sports bra from Athleta, which they make in so many colors, and I highly, highly recommend this. And then this is from good old preppy Ralph Lauren, or Ralph Lauren. But I will say I feel like Ralph Lauren as a brand is like getting cooler again. It's not just kind of stuffy, preppy stuff. They've got some really cool kind of like old vintagey Americana looking stuff right now. So I will just say, but this is a Ralph Lauren sweater, which their sweaters are so well made. I will say they're also worth the money. And then I wasn't wearing these, but I would have worn these New Balances that are like super chunky. And I don't know what the exact New Balance 9060, I think is the style. So with the fit breakdown done, let's get into the hotline.
Hi, Stu. My name is Troy, and I'm calling from Grand Junction, Colorado. My wife and I have been listening to Creep Time for a long time, and now I've turned her into a sipper, and we're both loyal premiums. So I just wanted to say I really love your podcast. Very proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm calling about something I've noticed when I'm at work, and I wanted your opinion as a strong Southern woman.
Yes.
I work in construction in a ski town where there are a lot of affluent people, and to get to work, my crew and I have to ride public transportation, and I frequently notice that when I'm in my dirty construction clothes, that women tend to physically distance themselves from me on the bus, from myself and my coworkers. As a trans man, I totally understand why women might feel uncomfortable or unsafe around gruff-looking construction workers, but one day a woman lost her child at the ski resort, and I found myself hesitating to help because I wasn't sure if help would be welcome from somebody that looked like me. I was wondering if you had any suggestions on how I, in my construction clothing, can present myself as a less intimidating or threatening as a man, or if there's really anything I can do on that front. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Oh, Troy, thank you so much for calling. I'm so happy that you and your wife are now sippers and your premiums. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I don't know if there's some sort of like jacket that you could always take with you to like cover up the construction outfit if you feel like it's a little too rough and tumble. Something like that. I will say maybe if there is a body language thing in there that you could do, just I don't know if you kind of, the way that the construction outfit works, you kind of carry yourself in a certain way, but maybe just relaxing, like telling yourself to just like relax your body language a little bit, because a lot of times I feel like that too comes from you being in your head where you're like, are they thinking about me a certain way? Do they think I look a certain way? And all of a sudden we don't realize it, but we look like in front of people and they're like, what is that person's problem? So also check that and just make sure it's not you being in your head overthinking it and like that's coming across in your body language. But Troy, people got to grow up. People have to discern for themselves if they think that you are an approachable, good person. It sounds like you are. Even you obviously calling in and asking that is showing that you care. So I hate that I don't have better advice, like a specific article of clothing or something I could tell you to wear. But I think that's one of those situations where adults are grown. They got to figure it out themselves, So thank you so much for calling in, though. I'm so happy. I was trying to think if we on tour came out to Grand Junction, Colorado, or like went through it. It sounds really familiar. Or maybe actually, can I tell you, I think Silas and I on our first acting tour that we did together, I think we did a show in Grand Junction. But I love Colorado, and I love that we have so many creepers, and I hope sippers someday in Colorado, because like we had such a blast when we were there on tour, and I just love the state. So thank you again for calling in.
Hi, Stu. This is Sienna. I'm calling here from Idaho. And I just had a question, maybe some advice. I feel like what you think about when it comes to propaganda, with like social media and like all these women. I try to make it a point to my husband. It's so different for women to have social media versus men, because I feel like we don't get that kind of context, that media in our view. Like that's not something that we normally see, where like, like a sexy man is like wearing no clothes. Like, I mean, it's there, but it's not to the extent as much as when it comes to female sexual content on social media. And I don't know, I'm just trying to get your thoughts on what you think. Like, I guess just to not compare and or like men to realize too that that's not reality. That's not how normal women usually look unless it's filtered. So it's just, how do you like not let that bother you so much?
Yeah. You want to talk about how weird it is to now, now that I'm trying to be a little bit more on Instagram in this content creation world. I mean, all the time I'm looking at photos now going, oh, I know that's got 85 filters on it. Or I know that's, face tuned to hell. Because now I've realized that's the industry standard, is everybody getting things sucked in and, softening of their face. And I'll tell you, I mean, I have to do it on some of my pictures. I don't have to, but I choose to, because now I'm trying to enter and break into this industry a bit more. And it is sad that is now kind of the typical beauty standard. But I know for myself that I only go so far as to, do it in a way that I feel like still looks natural, still looks like me, maybe just a little bit elevated. But I just want to acknowledge that even though I'm like in more of that world and space, I still recognize what bullshit all is. And so I totally empathize with you. I mean, it is really hard to get on these apps. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 33. And sometimes I think to myself, oh my God, like I'm just now starting to do this. And like everybody on here looks like they're 2 years old. Like even the people that are, in their 40s and 50s, everybody looks incredible. Like, how do I keep up with all that? And I guess I would just say, about your husband, if he doesn't recognize that like all of that is, a lot of it is filtered and fake, then you need to maybe sit him down and have his eyes checked. Because even for me, I feel like my boyfriend and I talk about all the time, like how it is just kind of crazy, the sucking in and the whatevering and that people do these days on social media to look attractive. But like he knows that a lot of it is fake. But the other thing is that like guys are dumb. Guys are dumb. Guys would, what did I hear on a podcast the other day? They were like, guys would have sex with a hot dog. So you just have to take that with a grain of salt, that I think a lot of men don't know, like men don't recognize it, even though we try to train them and we try to tell them, that's not real, right? I think also just you have to be secure. You have to be confident in who you are, what you look like. Obviously, your husband is with you and in love with you for a reason. I'm sure he loves the way you look. And the more credibility, or not credibility, that's the wrong word, the more attention you give to these images that are from social media and talk to your husband about them or whatever, the more energy you give to that, I just don't think is helpful. So I feel like the next time he says something, if he says anything about like, I don't know if he says stuff like this, but like so-and-so looks really good, or like has so-and-so had work done, or like just any sort of comment about another woman on social media that looks attractive, I just wouldn't even answer. I wouldn't make a comment back. And if there's some rhetorical question in there, he can ask it again. And if you really feel like giving an answer, I guess you can give him one. But I think you can also just say, it's not really of interest to me. I think there's a lot more value in aging gracefully, or I like the more natural look. Just sort of vocalizing and making it known like, hello, that's me. That's who you married, is somebody that's more into the natural stuff. So, just sort of making sure you check him a little bit. But as far as just maintaining your own sense of self and security in social media, just know it is all a bunch of bullshit. You just have to keep telling yourself that it's literally apps that are designed to make us want to aspire to look like, be like, sound like other people. And I want you to know that for me, when I, utilize my platform with my small following on Instagram, I really do try to do it from an authentic place where I'm like, I feel good in this outfit. I feel happy. I'm sharing this, but I try not to put the pressure on myself to, like, even editing this podcast. There have been a couple of outfits I've worn where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize my like belly was kind of out, but I'm like, whatever. That's me. I'm not going to sit there and freak out and try to filter and tweak and do all the things. And if that's really what, obviously I know in this industry, you got to look a certain way, present yourself a certain way, but there is beauty in all of the imperfections. I think people are so much more attractive when they're relatable and they're flawed and they're imperfect. So just know too that it's completely unrelatable to be fish-faced and tweaked. And I'm like, go do whatever you want to get done. To the people that want to get, plastic surgery, I'm like, whatever makes you feel your best. There was actually a really good quote that Lena Dunham said the other day about this. And I wish I could recall it. I found it. She said, because she faced so much controversy when she was on Girls for her body image. She said, as a result of my years dabbling in the comment section, the shifts in my human form, aging, illness, scrapes, and scars haven't rattled me like they could have. This body has already been an object of scorn, and so the rest of the road smoothed out before me. Basically, what I got from that quote is it's like, the body shaming, the wanting to look like everybody else in the industry, the like she said, scorn for looking the way she looked, which she has also said she was a quote slip of a person, and her body has changed, drastically since then. That it's all, none of that is the real stuff. None of that is the actual meat of the work she was producing. But it's so true that the society, we're so hell-bent and focused on what people look like first and foremost. But it's still, at the end of the day, it's never the most important part of the good work that she was producing. If there's one final thing I can say about that, also just getting off the app sometimes really helps. I mean, I also sometimes just take a break because they can be such comparison. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. Just don't get on there and doom scroll and look at other women, because now I can tell you, as somebody that has seen people in person too, in the very small bits of events I've attended, whether it be, Spotify stuff or seeing people in real life when I lived in New York that were celebrities that, post on Instagram looking a certain way. It is so fake and it's so unimportant in the big scheme of things. So I just would say, don't let it get to you. And I know that's easier said than done, but take it from me as somebody that feels like now I'm having to actually pay attention to it. I also still am like, I'm not going to tweak the way I look to suit anybody's needs. I'm going to tweak the way I look to suit my needs and what makes me feel good. And also, if there's stuff that you want to do to make yourself feel better, I mean, I'm such a huge proponent of that. I'm a huge proponent of taking care of yourself and getting beauty treatments and self-care treatments. So I don't know, maybe as a rule of thumb, the next time your husband brings it up, go take yourself and get your nails done. Go take yourself and get some new, a beauty treatment for you that'll make you feel good. Or not, it doesn't even have to be a beauty treatment. It can just be a self-care healing thing, like going on a walk. Take care of yourself, and that can be a fun little rule every time he does that, or every time you start to feel these feelings about how social media has sort of corrupted things. So I appreciate you calling that in. And again, the reality of it is it's all a bunch of BS.
Hi, Stu. This is Clara calling in from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I need some advice on what to do with a friend. I had a long-distance friend. We've been close for 10 years. And we used to message a lot, and we would do calls and stuff. And then last summer, I missed a few of her calls because it was a really busy time for me, both with work and personal life. And then when I did message her, she didn't respond. And so I continued to reach out for like 7 months, and she never responded to any of my messages. So eventually I found her on a different platform and said, "Hey, why did you ghost me?" And then she said that I started it by not answering her calls, and she was very defensive and nasty about it. So my instinct now is to cut off this relationship. Do you think that's a wise move? Thanks.
Gosh, well, we talked about that a little bit on the episode. I think it's episode 5, where I called my best friend who lives like across the country. First of all, let me just thank you for calling that in. That was Clara. Thank you so much for calling that in. And I think what we determined is that communication is a two-way street, right? So yes, I think your friend probably felt a little bit slighted that you weren't communicating, but it is on them. I am such a person that does not appreciate passive aggressiveness. I think ghosting someone is a form of passive aggressiveness. So it's on your friend. If she had really been feeling that way and had not given you any indication other than not returning your calls, that's not fair. That's not somebody that really cares about the relationship, because again, if I can go back to what I said on that episode, good friends give you grace. Good friends try to understand maybe why you hadn't answered the phone. You were going through a lot. Good friends would ask, well, what were you going through? How can I help? Um, and so I think, again, if you feel like she is someone that, or he, I think you said she, is someone that you've had a long-term, beautiful, wonderful relationship with, then yes, I think you should absolutely try to make amends. You should try to see, what happened in the month that you didn't respond. Like, why was it so upsetting to her, and explain what you were going through at the time? Because all that is, it's just it's a miscommunication, or it's a lack of communication. You guys just didn't talk. And that's nobody's fault except both of yours. It's not one or the other. It's both of you guys. You both didn't talk to each other about what was truly happening. So I think if you can just say, like, I totally take responsibility for my actions. But I sort of feel like you're not taking responsibility for being passive aggressive by ghosting me. So how can we make this work? Because I care about you. I love you. What's going on? Like, we just haven't talked. And I think if you can do that, you could definitely salvage the relationship if you feel like it's worth salvaging. But I will say that if this is a repeat pattern, if this is someone that is passive aggressive consistently as a friend, then I don't know if it's worth having them in your life or having them be such a big part of your life if they have been in the past. I always say this, but you got to protect your own peace. You got to protect yourself from people that make you feel like crap, which it sounds like she is. So I would say, open the conversation up, ask her what it was during that time that made her so upset with you that you didn't answer, because we all don't answer the phone sometimes. But I don't know how many times you didn't answer, but maybe coming in with an apology, explaining what you were going through. The more information you can share and give, and the more she can give you, will lead to you guys figuring it out. And like my friend said in that episode, if it's meant to be someone that actually cares about you and loves you, then it'll all work out. It'll be fine. But if it's somebody that truly does not really care all that much, you're going to find that when you open up that conversation, if you're met with someone that's hard-headed and they double down, take a look at that friendship and rethink to yourself, is this really worth it? Is this worth my time? But I hope that it goes well if you do decide to have that conversation, and keep me posted and definitely call back. I'm curious to see how it went.
Hi, Stu. It's Anne again from Canada. Okay,
Hi.
First of all, I am loving this podcast so much. You deserve every ounce of congratulations you're getting. Okay. I have a high school reunion coming up. It's for the whole school. Like, I think the school is turning 150 years old.
Oh my God.
Also, my grade is having our 37-year reunion. I'll pause for a gasp. Okay, so I have this post-menopausal body that doesn't know what it's doing from day to day. And I usually live in leggings and sweatshirts trying to hide. So what can I wear? It's going to be really casual, but how do I make it like a little casual chic? So I don't look like I have fully given up. Okay, love you lots. Bye.
Love you, Anne. First of all, I was about to be like, hold the hell on, because you have a great body and you work out like every day. I see that on Instagram. So I think you need to sit down with yourself and go, I look amazing. I look great, because you do. I'm telling you, you do. Oh, casual chic. Okay. My head went straight to a good pair of jeans. I don't know when the last time you went jean shopping was, and I know it can be harrowing, but getting a good pair of jeans and maybe splurging a little bit makes you feel comfortable, can make your, lower half look really like snatched and amazing, but you can still like look cash. And then I would just focus on trying to find like a nice structured kind of jacket, maybe. I think that jackets are always very, very chic. Whether that is, I'm kind of trying to think about what I would think your vibe might be. I'm not quite sure a leather jacket would be, but something kind of that nature, a leather jacket. I think a blazer can look cool as long as it's not too professional. But they're cool kind of oversized blazers that tend to look a little bit more um casual cool and not so like corporate. Especially lots of vintage shops have really cool like 90s blazers that I'm just like obsessed with that I think look so like I have one in my closet right now I'm thinking of that would look really cool for a reunion because it's like kind of fun because it's like a throwback also to that would actually be I'm coming on to something now. Stylist cap on. It would be kind of sick to have like, brand new amazing jeans and then find a top that sort of like harkens back to like the year you graduated. Something that's sort of like the vibe of like when you were in high school. I love going vintage shopping. So sometimes I think there's great jackets at vintage shops. Tops can be a little hard because tops back in the day were tailored certain ways and cut certain ways that like don't necessarily, I think, look that great on every sort of figure now. But jackets or things that you can sort of like throw on just to reference that time. Um, or I'm trying to think of actually, you know what also, I don't know what the weather is going to be like. I will say nothing to me is like chic. I enter a room and you've done nothing than a trench coat, which that might sound like, whoa, that's a lot of style going on for a high school reunion. But I swear to God, when you wear a trench with jeans, you walk in a room and people are like, she looks great. Like every single time when I'm thinking of this specific trench coat I have, that it does not matter what I have underneath it. It could quite literally be leggings and a sweatshirt that I pop that thing on with a pair of sunglasses and I will walk down the street and I know people are like, that's a sick coat. That's a sick jacket. There's just something about a trench where it looks good on everybody. So I don't know if you have a trench coat, but I would say trench coat, jeans. You could even wear a basic top underneath that and maybe just a pair of I love a heel. I don't know if you're a heel girl, but even if you're not a heel girl, something with like maybe just kind of a chunkier wedge or heel. I think that always just makes you feel a little bit more like I'm here, I'm ready to go. I can talk to Larry, Curly, and Mo, all of which I dated. Um, you can talk to them with a little bit of confidence. I just think a heel kind of helps. Um, and I would say the best thing that you can take with you is an exit plan. I have not been to a high school reunion yet. I know they're happening, but I know the day is going to come where I go to one. And I would say that's the best piece of style advice I could have. Come up with a good exit plan. But Anne, you'll be great. You are fabulous. I remember, I think when you came to the Seattle show, you wore did you wear like a leather jacket? You wore something very cool. I remember because when we met you, it was such a moment for me. I was starstruck, but yeah, you're going to be great. And you got this in the bag. And I don't ever want to hear you say that you have a postmenopausal body because you look incredible. Okay, I think we have time for one more.
Hey, Stu, this is Will calling from Colorado. I have
so many Colorados.
So I moved to Colorado pretty recently and joined the social dancing scene. It's been really fun. I've been enjoying dancing, making new friends. There are a lot of attractive women that I get to meet and dance with. I recently asked this girl who I dance with fairly consistently if she was seeing anyone. I've been dancing with her pretty frequently. She always seems super friendly, super excited to see me, so I thought there was some interest. Anyway, but everyone dances with everyone, and I'd seen her dancing with this one guy who seemed like there was maybe something. And anyway, she ended up confirming that she was seeing him. So that kind of brings me to the first question. So I clearly asked, and she's, clearly not interested. So how do I recover from this in the sense that do I keep dancing with her as sort of social dances as friends, and pretend like nothing happened, or do I just stay away and dance with other people? Like I said, we were pretty friendly before all this. The second question is kind of in a community such as this, sort of how do I navigate the proverbial don't where you eat, while also being able to kind of meet attractive women who seem like they're into the same interests. There's definitely some inter-community politics, and I'm trying to be very formal. If I am showing interest, just kind of, asking out, not trying to just hook up, waiting like a month or two before shooting my shot again, and kind of one person at a time. But yeah, I just don't want to be that guy who's asking everyone out, and I still want to have fun. So please help. Would appreciate. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Well, I'm like, wow, we have a straight. Woo! I feel like I need a bell. Straight male caller. I am going to crack that demographic. I swear to God. My whole life, it's just been me, the girls, and the gays. Will, thank you so much for calling in. Okay. This is good. So your first question about, how do you recover from that? I think you just you play it cool. And I think if you start to hide from her, that's going to create more awkwardness, because then it's like every time you go, you're going to have to keep that up, and she's going to notice, and she's going to be like, okay, now I feel awkward. I think if you could just cut the awkwardness out of the room and just be confident around her and just be like, hey, it's good to see you. Don't lead with like, oh my God, I asked you out and you said no, like just keep a cool kind of casual confidence about it all. Because the more you act weird about it, the worse her reaction is going to be to that. And the more she can be like, oh my God, he's being so weird around me. And also it's like, if this doesn't work out between her and this other guy, you want her to view you as the guy that's like, I'm cool. I'm still doing my thing. I'm confident in me, and I'm not going to let me asking you out that one time and you rejecting me completely throw me off my game. But definitely be mindful of, do not slip into arrogant, because that is the biggest ick to women ever, is when a guy asks you out and then you say no, and then all of a sudden he's like overshooting the mark and is like, oh, I'm so great. Like, and that is such a turn off, and that's very obvious. So just toe that line of just being, confident and calm around her. But I would say do not avoid her. I would just say also don't overshow like interest, because I'm sure you still have, some feelings. You're still attracted to her, but now you got to be respectful that she's, dating somebody else and he's most likely around. Second part of your question, the don't where you eat, which cracks me up. Yeah, that is, you do have to be careful. I'm going to be honest also, as a woman, it's a turnoff, because here's what I can tell you. There's probably girls in that room that find you very attractive. So what you don't want to do is start asking everybody out, and one of the girls that really thinks that you're cute and would like to go out with you, and maybe you would like to go out with her if you got to know her better, all of a sudden goes, oh, he's just flying through this like a Rolodex. So definitely take some time now that you've asked that other girl out. And I would maybe take my foot off the gas of pursuit and let it sort of naturally come to you. Because what's cool about social dancing is I feel like you get to be around people, you get to physically kind of interact a little bit in a way that naturally leads to sparks, I'm sure. So I would maybe let the sparks fly naturally with the next person. Don't pursue like crazy. If there's someone that you think is really attractive, I would say let it be a slow burn. If there's a girl you got your eye on, first of all, think it's awesome that you were like, I want to make it very clear that I'm going to ask them out on a date and I'm not interested in, this is not a hookup thing. That's great. But you also don't want to be the guy that asks every girl out on a first date, So I think with the next girl, just really play your cards right. And if there's someone that you're like, wow, she's awesome, maybe go to like 2 or 3 or 4 dancing events and make it a point to, try to talk to her, try to hang out with her, but be easy about it and let her sort of lead maybe a little bit with the conversation and I think that's sort of having game is in the beginning stages, not coming on too strong. And yeah, that's so exciting. That's such a cool idea also. And I'm glad you're sharing for other sippers. Like that's a good idea. I've never really thought about that. If you want to get back out in the dating scene to join social dancing clubs. Like I know a lot of friends of mine, actually, I have some friends that live in Texas that do line dancing, and that's like a good way to meet people. So word to the wise, word to all the sippers that they should check out social dancing. That's really cool. So Will, you got this in the bag, and call back and let me know if you kind of playing it cool leads to anything, or if you're like, Stu, that didn't work. I have other thoughts as well. So make sure to call back. And yeah. All right. Well, speaking of high school reunions, I know I mentioned at the top of the pod that I was definitely going to call this friend of mine, Maddie Hasson, who I went to high school with. She has gone on to become a just wonderful actress. I mean, she always was in high school. She always was an amazing actress, like beyond. We were all like, what's happening? You were 13 and it's giving like Elle Fanning vibes. She always had star power. I'm just going to say it. In high school, she had an aura about her. She would walk in a room and it was like, whoa. There are so many photos of us next to each other. And I'm just like, we were talking about comparing each other. That was my real life social media, was standing next to her in person and being like, okay, so God has his favorites. But she is just an awesome person. And I can't wait to talk to her a little bit about, her journey getting out to LA at such a young age and really just having the faith in herself to make it work. I'm sure when she was in environments where she was meeting people for the first time who seemed like big deals, and how to, keep her negative self-talk down as well. So I'm so excited to give her a call, and I'm going to do that. But again, we are working around her schedule. So when I do that, I will probably be splicing these together, but can't wait to give her a call. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I have to be so for real. I am recording this on a different day, kept the same outfit because I was like, consistency. What I wanted to tell y'all was that the thing happened that I was going to call Maddie about, but it still all applies. The same advice I still want advice on, because obviously I think this will hopefully happen again someday, whether it's on Creep Time or whether it's on this podcast. One of my big dreams is to do interviews with people that I have admired my whole life, whether those are actors, musicians, artists, writers, philosophers. I want this to be an interview podcast someday, this one segment. So it's just so funny because when this comes out, y'all will now know the project I was referencing, I was trying to be very cryptic, was interviewing Miss Nancy Grice. It was weird because Silas and I were talking about this. We were both eerily calm, like kind of after it happened. But I would say for myself, like midway through, I was like, okay, even though she's like kind of roasting us, it's perfect. Like all I want her to do is roast me. But what I was going to ask Maddie is, I already kind of teed it up before, but how in her journey as a teenager did she hone the skill of having faith in herself? So anyways, I'm going to get into all that with her, but I just had to tell y'all, now that you know, that's who it was. Oh God. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on 1 second. What is happening right now? She's like, why is it just sending me to voicemail? I said, same. What's happening? Wait. Now this is my first FaceTime video. I'm so excited. Wait, this is so much better. That was so funny. I was like, what the is going on?
Why is it happening?
I was literally like, wait, this is kind of incredible if like something drastic happened and I got blocked. Like you found one thing from the archives and you were like, this dumb it's blocked. Just the Hot Mess Express over here. Oh my God. I'll just show your face. Wait, this is so much better. Why have I never done this before? Oh Oh my God.
Your face lights me up inside.
Stop.
In a way that I can't describe.
Same.
I can't describe it.
If there's a way that somehow I could have this like on the monitor too, like in the episode, it would be incredible. Just like all the way up my nose.
Screen record it.
Honestly, maybe I should. Okay, hold on.
I look so good right now, so that's perfect.
I'm like straight out the shower, so that's perfect. Okay, let's see if this works. We're going to new heights on this episode. I'm screen recording, FaceTiming. Okay,
Listen, we're here to revolutionize the podcast industry.
The podcast community, the content creation community. So you know when I texted you the other day about coming on, and it was before I did that like big Nancy Grace interview, which by the way, it happened. It was harrowing. It was actually.
I'm shaking.
I'm shaking still. It was 24 hours ago, and I still have not stopped shaking. It was everything I hoped it would be and more, but she roasted our ass. Roasted on like live time. And it was like, there was like a control room.
I need to be held. I'm scared.
I needed to be held the entire time.
How electric.
I know.
It was be roasted by Nancy Grace. I mean, come on.
She literally said, little lady, I swore off cursing after I had the twins, but you're pushing me to go there. And I was like, I'm going to keep pushing. It was incredible.
You're so lucky.
You're so
lucky.
So lucky.
That's
Once in a lifetime experience. But what I was going to ask you before, but I'm still going to ask you because it's still relevant, because hopefully something like that will happen again, is that I was thinking about you and being, basically, I thought you were 14 when you went off to LA.
I was 15.
15, okay.
Yeah.
And I was telling the sippers, the listeners.
Big difference.
Big difference. Okay. Like before you went, like it kind of just felt like all of a sudden you like turned to me one day and you're like, I think I'm going to go out to LA and like be an actress. And I was like, wait, hold on, what? And like, what blind faith you must have had in yourself at like 15. And I think about it now that I'm 33 and I still struggle so much to just like, because before that interview with Nancy, I was like, I've never done anything like this before. How do I know I can do it? And I was wondering, you must have honed that skill for so long now. So, and I don't know if you still struggle with it, where it's like you go into an audition, you're like, I've never done anything before like this. How do I gear myself up? So I was curious, how do you go into something just like with blind faith, have the confidence?
So, I actually think about this all.
Really?
Because when you're young, you don't, like, I had no idea what went into any of this, into my job that I do now, like no clue. And so I was like, going to go out to LA and I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to get a job in a month. Like, because my mom was like, we can do this. We can go out to LA for this pilot season, but I'm going to give you a month. And if you don't get a job, we're coming back home. Like that.
That is such a Southern mom thing to say.
Do you know, I got found by this manager who called my mom and she was like, well, if you want Maddie, you're going to have to fly so I can meet you because you might be a pedophile. I don't know. So she made this man fly to North Carolina to come meet us. Anyway, but I think it's because I had no clue how hard it is. So I just had this like blind confidence in myself. And I think as you get older, like life just kind of chips away.
Yeah. And so does your confidence.
Like, yeah. But I have more, I don't have blind confidence now, but I definitely more faith in myself. I have more self-love, obviously, than I did as a teenage girl.
Yep.
And I know what I'm capable of. But still, when I go into an audition, it's just a different kind of thing.
I wonder when you, because I'll have days like when I go to, whether it's like creep time or whatever I'm doing, it could be this podcast where I'm like, God, I'm going to like this up. Like I'll just go into like a headspace of negative self-talk, and I'm always like curious because I have like tricks and I can kind of like get myself out of it, and I think it's just experience. But like what advice do you have for, I mean, somebody that has done something that I think a lot of people can't even fathom how not only you do it, but like how you did it at such a young age? What are your like go-tos of getting yourself into a headspace where you're like, I can do this?
You know what's so cute actually that I'm remembering now? Before I went on my first like movie audition, I was talking to Maggie Miller about it, our drama teacher.
Yes.
CFA. And she was like, just before you go in, take 3 slow, big, deep breaths. And I used that for years, and it really helped me. But I think it's like, what I do now is more extensive because as I'm 31 and as life goes on, you just get more anxious.
Yes.
It's become more and more of a wreck as the years have gone by.
But it's like I've become more of a wreck, but I've also at the same time gotten so much better about like hiding it.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is bad, but it's true.
No. Keep rolling with it. You can't trust anyone and nobody can know that you're...
Hey, that's exactly what Nancy Grace said. Nancy Grace, that was one of her exact quotes. She said, I can't trust anyone.
Love her.
Oh, God, I love her too.
Okay, here's my advice. What I do, and I just did this the other day, before a big meeting or before an audition, I make sure I'm really so prepared that like anything that surprises me won't shake me. So I over prepare because even when I'm over prepared, I'm like, I'm going to forget,
Yeah.
Go for a long walk or exercise before to just kind of get like some of the out. I meditate now.
What's a beginner's guide to meditation? Because I don't ever meditate, but I hear everybody say they do it.
I'm so sorry. I had a boyfriend that was super into meditating and he was just like the worst. And I was like, could never be me. Because it was like the kind of boyfriend that I was with, but also hated, the guy, those people.
Of course. The amount of times I would find excuses to get out of the same space as him. And I'd be like, gotta run. And I'm like, why am I with you?
He would come in and he'd be like, do you want to meditate together, babe? And I was like,
oh, God.
But I meditate now. I use this app called Insight Timer. I don't ever meditate like on my own. And they have all these different guided meditations.
Okay.
And just do like a 5-minute one.
Yeah.
Find a person that you like their voice and you don't want to kill them. And just like do 5 minutes. I think walking is meditating. I do that square breathing exercise. You know that square breathing exercise?
I do.
You're so beautiful. I'll look at your eyes.
It like cut out for 2 seconds and then you're so beautiful. I love to look in your eyes. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh my God. I love you so much. So I feel like to sum up what you said, first of all, over preparing, I do that too. And I think it's underrated. I feel like people don't talk about that enough. Over preparing.
You have to over prepare. Because if you're an anxious person, I get into my head and I psych myself. And I'm like, well, you don't know anything.
Getting the shakes out, like getting, a little movement.
I dance.
Do you still dance
to music sometimes?
Like,
I know.
Yeah.
But I'll go to like, my friend has a dance class that I go to sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like so chill and it's all women in their 50s.
I have seen you post about that. It looks incredible.
It's my favorite group to be in.
Yeah.
Love to just be surrounded by women with so much knowledge and life experience.
Same. That's one of my...
It's just the best.
Like, honestly, that's kind of why yesterday with Nancy Grace was a dream, because I was like, you know so much more than I do. Even though you want to rip my head off. I love...
Tear me up.
Tear me up.
Honor.
Tear me up. It's an honor. I love older women more than anything. Yeah. Like women that are older than me because they're so wise, but a wise Southern older woman that's its own brand.
My God.
Oh my God.
I feel so helped. My best friend's 56.
Oh my God.
Best.
Oh God. I need a 56-year-old best friend. Well, I will let you get back to your day. And I love you so much. Thank you so much for giving some like really amazing advice. Cause like your journey to me is still kind of insane. Like I swear to God, I think about that moment of you just turning to me and being like, I think I'm going. I was like, okay. It's amazing.
Well, because I didn't tell anyone that it was happening. And then I was like, bye. Like, it was such a crazy thing to do.
Yeah, but it's incredible.
But you were one of the only people I talked to about it.
I mean, yeah, it's one of my like favorite. You are one of my favorite people in the world, but like, I feel like your life journey has been like one of the coolest to watch. It's true. It's true.
Love you.
I love you so much. I love you so much. And next time, if I call, I'll have a better connection. It's like,
I don't care.
Okay.
Honestly, I'll take you how I can get you.
Okay.
I'm just happy to be here.
Same. Okay. I love you so much.
Grace, I say hi.
I will. She'll go, who's that?
And I mean, that's electrifying.
It was.
You're so lucky.
I'm still so shook. Okay. I love you so much. Have the best day.
Okay. I love you.
Okay. Love you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Cackling. I literally had that entire ending. I immediately hit the mute button. This will be a historical episode of Southern Gossip. Oh my God. Maddie it's such a delight. Like every time I get to talk to her, I'm just like, wow, I'm instantly transported back to a time with her where like the two of us were very much so wanting to be actresses. And like, it's been incredible to watch her. I felt like, this kind of protectiveness of her when we were growing up, because I mean, you could just like tell how special she was and still is. And I think she gave some super solid advice there, which is that, over preparing is one of the best things you can do, because even though it's like a little bit neurotic in and of itself, over preparing, it sets you up, like she said, for like that moment where you maybe get into the audition or the work environment or whatever. And naturally, sometimes all of it goes out the window. It just flies out the window because of nerves or, energy, what have you. And I really think that's solid advice, to just over prepare so that when that day comes, you still have something to pull from, even if it's like a little nugget of information or memory. And then, of course, meditating. I definitely want to try that. I've heard so much about that. So maybe I'll download that app that she mentioned. But sippers, take that from somebody that has at 15 went out and embarked on a pretty wild career to become an actor. I mean, that's, and still goes through moments where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Can I do this? But that was just like the best conversation with her. I just love her so much. What an episode. It'll be one for the books. Episode 8 of Southern Gossip. And I guess until episode 9, y'all, just say, keep on sipping.